Arlington National Cemetery. It's the United States' most venerable military resting ground. And walking in Arlington brings the visitor to an ocean of tombstones. These neat rows of graves look a lot like troops of soldiers ready to march into battle. However, section 16, it's the smallest section in Arlington. It's a little different. And there's a memorial that stands to be the most remarkable statue in the country, decorating the dead of any war. What makes section 16 very unusual is that Confederate dead are buried here. 482 soldiers, former enemies, and vanquished rebels.
Unlike the rest of the cemetery, with headstones in straight rows, here in section 16, graves are all arranged in concentric circles. And Confederate tombstones, interesting, are very similar to Union tombstones, but they're a little different. Let me show you. First off, there's no religious imagery. There's no cross. Instead, what we see here is the Southern Cross of the Confederacy. If any of these soldiers, these Confederate soldiers, were married, their wives' names, interestingly enough, are on the back of their tombstones instead of the front with their husbands. If they were bachelors, like this guy, nothing. But the real treasure of this memorial lies in the center. Let's go check it out. The monument is 32 feet high. The statue on the top is a woman symbolizing the South. And her head is crowned, let me get in there quick, with olive leaves, and her left hand outstretches a laurel wreath to the south, acknowledging the sacrifice of her fallen sons. Her right hand holds a pruning hook, as you can see there. And it brings to life the biblical passage, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. The plot that which she stands on, you can see there's actually a bunch of 4 funerary urns here, each one representing the 4 years of the Civil War. And we're going to get to this bas-relief in a second because there's a lot to take in here. With 32 different figures. In front of the mount, which we're looking at right now, is a figure of Minerva, the goddess of war and wisdom. And she's attempting to support the figure of a fallen woman who herself is supporting a shield which reads, the Constitution. There's lots more to see here, including at the top there are 14 different plaques for the 13 different states that supported the Confederacy, and one for Maryland, who many of its residents also supported the Confederacy. Let's look more at this frieze. So we see Minerva helping a woman who's supporting the Constitution shield. These are all represent the different branches of the Confederate Army at the time. And you can see here, let me see if I can zoom in, a African-American black soldier who is nestled there amongst the Confederate troops heading into battle. If we peek further around the corner, we see a black mammy who is holding out a child for a southern soldier to kiss before he goes off into battle, possibly never seeing him again. Again, a mammy, we'll talk more about that in a second. And we keep going around the side here. We see a blacksmith who is fashioning his wares, ready to, probably having a very heated discussion with his wife about going into war. And here at the base it says, I'll read it to you, not for fame or reward, not for place or rank, not lured by ambition or goaded by necessity, but in simple obedience to duty as they understood it. These men suffered all, sacrificed all, dared all, and died. After the unity spurred by the Spanish-American War in 1900, Congress authorized the reburial of Confederate remains in, quote, some suitable spot at Arlington National Cemetery. This suitable spot became Section 16, known at the time as the Confederate section. And Henry Secretary of War, Henry Taft, approved the creation of the memorial here. And it was led by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, an organization of white Southern women. And the Confederate Memorial, it was erected in 1914, almost 50 years after the end of the Civil War. On November 12th, 1912, the cornerstone for the memorial was laid. And that same evening, a reception of the Daughters of the Confederacy, Marion Butler, then president of the District of Columbia Division, said aloud, "We trust that the building of this monument will be a keystone in the arch of a reunited country." Moses Ezekiel, a world-renowned sculptor and a Confederate veteran, was chosen to design the memorial. Here he is, buried right here at its base. He felt the monument was the most important commission he'd ever worked on, and he was not paid a design fee and accepted no other work during the construction. He's buried here amongst his masterpiece, his last and greatest work. A fun fact about Moses Jacob Ezekiel, the designer, he was the first Jewish cadet to attend the Virginia Military Institute. And it answers the question right here. What is Arlington National Cemetery doing? They recognize the importance of telling this complex, sensitive story. This panel represents just the first step in a long-term process to carefully and accurately interpret the history of the Confederate Memorial and Section 16. Community members and stakeholders will be involved in this process. Stay tuned for further developments on this ongoing project. Just a FYI, it's been pretty stagnant since 1914, so I don't see a lot of hope in anything major changing, but right here we have a cool picture of Woodrow Wilson himself unveiling the memorial to the public on June 4th, 1914. The statue is said to symbolize reconciliation and unity between the North and South. That was stated as the statue's central theme. And President Wilson, on the dedication day in June of 1914, said this: "It is my privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to declare this chapter in United States history closed and ended. And I bid you turn with me your faces to the future, quickened by the memories of the past, with nothing to do but the contests of the past, knowing as we have shed our blood upon opposite sides, we now face and admire one another." At the cornerstone sits the base, which says, "To our dead heroes by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, Vitrix causa displacut sed victa calatoni." For those of you curious what the Latin means, here, see below. I think it raises more questions than answers. Debates on the Confederate Memorial have been persisting for a long time. Some believe it's an icon of national reconciliation, while others believe it reads like a pro-Southern textbook. However, the monument is rightly regarded as a symbol of peace, reconciliation, and hope. What do you think?